So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. Today we're going to be answering Ask HR questions. We've got a question from Illinois about whether or not it's better to get fired or quit. We got a question out of California with respect to signing the papers if you get fired, and nude selfies with an ID badge. What do we think about it today? Let's get right into it with the question out of Illinois. What's better, letting myself get fired or quit? A few months ago, I got written up for something others in the past have gotten warnings for, which generally that means that they also got written up. Whatever. There were inaccurate things that were written in it. Then they lost their work phone and was told this results in a write up. Haven't gotten it yet. The person says, I assume it's like baseball, 3 strikes, you're out. Not a good job, not a good company. I want to know what to do. Well, ultimately, first off, it depends on what the first thing is for. It's not often 3 strikes, you're out. The approach I often take with respect to this is it needs to be generally similar things. It doesn't have to be regulated, but for example, attendance is a completely different deal than a safety violation, which is also completely different, although sometimes connected to job performance. So it's not quite like baseball. But to answer the question, what's better, letting myself go or get fired? Um, I would say probably getting fired is better. No matter what, if you leave on bad terms, whether you quit under suspicion, I guess, or get fired, ultimately the company will likely not recommend you for rehire, and that will be the only time that this could come up. Uh, I say that there is a caveat if you're into federal jobs, specifically government contracting work, you and you're going for a secret clearance, you might have some issues because they do ask if you get fired. But that's the only world where I could see that mattering. And even then, even with respect to secret clearances, as long as it's only secret, I really doubt that it'll have an effect. People who have clearances down below, feel free to talk about it. Um, but that is something that you can be mindful of. And ultimately, if you're fired, you have a pretty good shot at unemployment. Quitting, it's very unlikely. um, People say, well, you can never get unemployment if you're fired. In Illinois, I'm guessing you can. It depends on the state, right? But in Illinois, I would presume that you would still get unemployment even if you were fired. uh, then the next question is out of California, and it's a weird one. I wanted to address it. It says, "Do I have to sign the papers if I get fired? If I were to get fired and it was something I disagreed with on the reasoning, do I have to sign the papers? I just want the best chance I can when it comes to wrongful termination and unemployment." Well, no, you're not a slave. No one has to do anything. So no, you don't have to sign the papers. That's the whole point of at will employment, is that you don't have to sign any papers that you don't want to. Now, does it really matter with respect to wrongful termination? No, it doesn't really matter with respect to wrongful termination and unemployment, whether or not you signed the papers or you didn't sign the paper. Frankly, most write-ups include the language that, it's just advising you of the warning, not stating that you agreed with the warning. And so it's a very common language to be using on write-ups. It really doesn't matter. Signing the papers do not actually impact it one way or the other. And ultimately, because you're not a slave, you're not forced to. Uh, Next one is out of California. It says this person works as a buyer for a firm, taking several nudes both at work and at home with her ID badge showing, which I don't even know. I don't even know. Badge contains her face, full name, and company logo. Even if her company doesn't explicitly have a rule prohibiting nude pics, could she still get in trouble? Yes. Like, I don't really understand this line of logic. I didn't, most of my policies don't include specifically a nude selfie with an ID badge as a particular line. I imagine if it's any size, it probably has a social media policy that prohibits, running down the name of any kind. But it doesn't really matter. Employers could terminate you because your shoes are blue and they prefer red shoes. Like, there doesn't need to be a policy in place that explicitly prohibits nude pics. She's still going to be in trouble, and especially with an ID badge, that invites all sorts of problems. In addition, I mean, you're looking at the fact that those get out and people can simply call the work looking for her and creep on her. I mean, I think that would be my biggest concern, if I had to be honest, for that person. So yes, absolutely, she can get in trouble. And just, the bigger lesson to take from this is that policies don't have to include an all-encompassing and very specific lines, right? Policies don't have to include, only when you're eating peanuts on a Tuesday will you be fired. They can be very broad, and they should be, in many respects. And so as a result, it's really kind of silly to argue this, but I think it's interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is a broad policy good in order to take care of these problems, or is it bad because people don't know the bounds of their respective workplace? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.